some word.
Turn to Proverbs 9. Turn to Proverbs 9. Good morning, Oak Grove.
Good morning.
Morning. Welcome to our Sunday School morning. Our scripture this morning is going to come from Proverbs 9, verse 9 and 10. Proverbs 9, verse 9 and 10. Reading out of the King James Version, and it reads as such. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be yet wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. The word of God for the people of God, the people of God said, Amen. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity that you've woken us up this morning, closing out right now. And we pray that your Holy Spirit dwell among us, Heavenly Father. Be with our teacher as he teaches the word. Let us hear your word, receive your word, and then apply your word to our life. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. We pray. Amen. This morning, our teacher is Keaton Payne. Welcome.
Amen.
Amen.
Good morning, y'all. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for the opportunity to be able to do Sunday school this morning.
Amen.
I'm on the mic. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sweating a little bit, so y'all bear with me.
It's all
It's a
right.
little hot.
It's all right.
So our lesson today is about wisdom. Our lesson today focuses on many gospel descriptions of wisdom. I know y'all got y'all Sunday school book, so y'all can just turn into today's lesson. Page 16. Yep, that's good. The name of this lesson is called The Call of Wisdom. So we pretty much want to explore God's wisdom, which gives us direction and guidance. So we're going to recognize, cherish, and apply these standards of wisdom in our everyday life. So we're going to actually look at the verses. Our verses today comes from Proverbs 1. We're going to read chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. I'm going to skip down to verses 7 and 8, and also we're going to read verses 10. And the verses also comes from verses 20 through 22, and also 32 through 33. Alright, so you can actually look at our verses. Do we have any volunteers who wants to read our verses? Who can read verses 1 through 4, 7 and 8, and 10? Anybody?
The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of the king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment in equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge in discretion.
And can you go ahead and read 7, 8, and 10 for me?
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Dear Lord, Lord, read. So what's important to know from the reading of these scriptures? So 2 key points. The first, of course, the book of Proverbs teaches us wisdom. The second, Proverbs teaches generations to reverence and respect God. The context of these scriptures. Proverbs is a comparison and contrast of things. The goal of Proverbs is seen in verse 2. So look at verse 2. For learning about wisdom and instruction, I'm reading from the New Standard Version. Wisdom and instruction for understanding words of insight. So pretty much teach people wisdom so they can live godly, successful lives. Teach people wisdom so they can live godly, successful lives. How do you live a godly, successful life? And insight. What does that mean to you to live a godly, successful life?
First, you have to follow God's word.
Okay.
To follow God's word. Know God's word. You have to read God's word. And then And with wisdom is asking us to ask him to explain to us and give us the knowledge of what he's given us.
Exactly, exactly. Any other input? What does it mean to you? Anybody? You don't have to.
Well, we've been blessed to be given the word,
Right.
so we can get it directly from the Father. Sometimes we will follow people, and they don't know where they're going.
Exactly.
Blind leading the blind. So we've been blessed to have the word that we can study and learn from. And as we learn, we can ask the Father, and He to use the word that He's given.
Exactly. So, to my understanding, a successful life begins with fear. Fear of the Lord, which means respect for God. When a person has respect for God, the Holy Spirit gives you wisdom, which allows you to live a life that's disciplined, justice, fair, and of course successful. All right, let's take a look at a few other chapters. If you don't mind, let's look at verses 20 through 22, 32 through 33. Have any volunteers who wants to read that for me?
Wisdom is prettier without she is underneath her voice in the streets. She is quiet in the chief place of a concourse and opening of the gates. In the city she uttered her word, saying, how long ye simple ones will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorn, and fools hate knowledge. Shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. Those who sow hearth kindness unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
Thank you, Brother Chad. I appreciate that. Those reads. So, two key points of those verses. Wisdom calls out in the streets. The second one, wisdom calls out to the simple, but they ignore her. Wisdom, if you look at the text of the scripture, wisdom is used as personification. Personification meaning the attribute and the nature of human characteristics. If you see, you can imagine wisdom as a woman called down to the streets. We all know women are wise. I was raised by all women. So if you look at that, you can look at that as a metaphor, personification as a woman crying out to the streets. God, pretty much, God's wisdom calls out onto us. One who wants to hear God's wisdom will hear his wisdom and listen. Those who are ignorant will ignore wisdom. Wisdom comes from God and the respect of the Lord. That makes us wise. Listen to wisdom and live peaceably. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. They will be destroyed by the foolishness because they reject God. God gives us choice, and He makes a decision clear, but it's up to us to choose. Let's talk about knowledge. So, we gain knowledge from experiences. Knowledge is facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through their experiences. When you live life, you encounter different experiences, which requires instructions. For example, in life or in general, when you, let's say you get a new dining room table, first thing you do is you read the instructions. You read the instructions, the manual, whatever, to get that information, to get that knowledge. But once you get that knowledge, you have to apply what you just learned in order to build a dining room set, or on your job, your supervisor might give you a certain amount of instructions to do, then you have to apply that on your job. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. When you have knowledge, you receive that information. You receive it from your pastor, you receive it from your parents, teachers, you gain that knowledge. But to be a wise individual, you have to be able to apply that in life. So just remember, when you gain knowledge, I see a lot of people in life that you know the word, you hear it every day, you hear it in the songs. They say I wouldn't make it, they say I wouldn't be here today. They say I wouldn't amount to anything. But as soon as something bad happens, they don't know what to do. They know that knowledge, you hear it every day in the song, in the church, you hear it from the pastor, but they're lost. It's like they don't know what to do. They don't know how to apply that in their everyday life. But when you become a wise individual, you know how to move in the light of God, you know how to handle certain situations, you know how to have faith when something goes wrong. When hard times happen, you know what to do. So to be a wise individual, you have to be able to apply that in your everyday life. Wisdom can also be passed down, shared over generations and generations. In this chapter, you read or you understand that Solomon is addressing his son. You can look at that as godly advice from a godly parent. Solomon was known to be a wise man, one of the wisest men in the Bible. But of course, he got that wisdom from God. As individuals, I learn every day. I learn from my uncles, my aunties, my parents. They laid a foundation for me. So that's wisdom that they have learned in life. When you're a wise individual, you learn to teach individuals things that you went through in life. Um, Experiences. When you go through experiences, you gain knowledge, you gain understanding. So, every day I'm learning something new. I can look at what I've been through now at 31. I can look at back at 25 and look at all the mistakes that I made and all the experiences I went through. And now I gain understanding, I gain knowledge, I gain wisdom. But at the same time, you have to ask God for wisdom. You have to ask God for understanding. You look at these times, everything that's going on in the world. Sometimes we don't understand. We don't. And sometimes you have to ask God. Um, Wisdom, like I said, wisdom is applied understanding. You know how to think, but knowing is enough. Knowing is not enough. We have to act and we have to put it into practice. So pretty much practice what you preach. I'm up here now. Sunday school. So now every day I need to, be able to practice what I'm doing. Open up my Bible, just reading the scripture in the morning, reading the scripture at night, applying that into my everyday life. I have to be able to do that. When you're able to do that and have that understanding, you're able to live a godly, successful life without talking about it. When you have a godly, successful life, a lot of things that seem hard is not hard anymore. Like I said, I've experienced so much in life, witnessed a lot of things in life, but without that foundation, without that understanding, without that wisdom, I pretty much be lost. So you have to also, remember to lean and depend on God and have that understanding. Question: will we be wise and follow God, or will we be foolish and suffer the consequences? That's the question that I have for y'all. Will we be wise and follow God, or will we be foolish and suffer the consequences? I guess my question to y'all would be, another way to put it would be, what are some things that's going on in the world now that you see that's happening where individuals need guidance and need that wisdom? It's a lot of stuff we see every day. What's something that y'all have encountered, from individuals? Maybe it could be from a coworker, it could be something you see on TV. That pretty much that you see that this particular generation or this particular person needs guidance in life, or they need wisdom and knowledge in life. I guess I don't know how I'm asking my question, but what is something that y'all have seen lately that
Will you see that there's a lot of individuals that are frustrated with the way things are going, or how society is, and they're seeking avenues to express their frustration. Some people don't know what to do. Some people think they know what to do. And then we hear those that are wise to what's going on. I think speaking of wisdom, everybody feels they're wise in some way. Everybody feels they have wisdom. But a fool won't adjust. A person with true wisdom realizes when they're wrong and adapts and change with the knowledge that they've been given. Wisdom doesn't mean that you know everything.
Right.
Wisdom means that you can take things around you and that you know the correct avenues and the places to go to obtain knowledge for wherever you're at in life or what you're doing.
Exactly.
I think wisdom from God gives you the skill to do the right thing, the knowledge to know when to do what to do and how to do it. We watch the protesters and we watch rioters, and well, prime example, the young ladies that did the protesting, I think they asked for the wisdom. They got the wisdom and the knowledge to do it the right way. They knew they were going to have people come out. They didn't know how many people were out, but they also supplied certain needs that they knew they were going to have. They gave instructions on how we're going to do this. They gave time. So that was wisdom and wisest. The people that started the riots was idiots, wasn't wide enough, was running up and tearing down stuff. That was wise, but not of God. It was to somebody else totally different. So, you know when to do it, because you got the skills to do it from God, but you know how to do it and when to do it. But sometimes God gives you wisdom just to shut up. Amen. Don't say nothing. Sometimes we need to, you just say be quiet. And then sometimes he says speak, and this is what you should say. And in our justice system, even with the kneeling, he gave that wisdom and knowledge to somebody years ago, but we didn't pay attention to it. Now it's back on again. As we just go back to leading to what God said do, and not what we think we should do.
Exactly. In addition to what Reverend Washington and Theodore said, it's true because as this country, we had the foundation of God. When we took God from the foundation, things started to crumble. Yes. And as you know, if you take something off the foundation, it's not going to last. Say it, bro. So in retrospect to what Mr. Payne was saying too, the wisdom that we have, we know is sitting beside us every day on our phones, our Bible. Because that's the main blueprint of how we should be together in these times. Sort of say, like, there's the wisdom there. And like you said moments earlier about how we know how when you go through something and then you don't know how to get through it, where the wisdom is right there, right beside you, or telling you, teaching you how to get through it. But it's us to act upon it and start really digging into it. Exactly.
It's interesting when you say that, as Proverbs, he said, I'm on the street. She's crying out. She's screaming out. So it's there for you. Right. God is talking to you. He's giving you all the wisdom and knowledge. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. But one thing, turn and humble yourself and open up your mind to God and listen to what He's telling you to do. But those who don't believe in God, those who don't have the fear of God, those who don't reverence God, because the first part of knowledge is he said, do what? Fear God. Fear is give me reference. Acknowledge me as I am the one. And He is the one. Once we do that, that's the first step of knowledge. You already got some wisdom right there and there. You know who God is. You know who He is in your life. That's a big step right there. The next step is after that, He will start talking to you. But we have to turn and humble ourselves and acknowledge Him first.
Just like you said, fear God.
That's right.
Our trouble is, you talk about the foundation. Our foundation here is a facade, really. Yeah. Because they put out there, this is what we're based on. But who did they truly fear? I don't think they truly feared God. They feared what society thought more than their fear of God. Now, we was listening on the radio this morning on the way here. And they was talking about in the church. Well, the church divided. The church divided.
That's right.
Divided us. They feared society more than they feared God.
That's right.
They feared losing power that they didn't never have. Their status. Right. and forgot that God gave them that status. And that's how that happened. And they started fearing man. They started putting man first.